Hello and thanks for joining us on the news on NTA International. I am Dennis Adegunloye. Thanks for joining us. Let's bring you the headlines. President Bola Tinubu in private meeting with visiting counterparts, Guinea-Bissau President Umaru Sissoco Embalo. Food producers in France agree to price cuts following government directives. And World marks International Cooperatives Day 2023. President Bola Tinubu today received his counterparts from Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, on a private meeting. The Ghanaian president, who is also chairman Authority of ECOWAS Heads of State and Governments, was received by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State on arrival at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. The visiting president arrived at the Lagos private residence of the Nigerian leader at about 12:45 p.m. The meeting behind closed doors lasted about 2 hours, and a special advisor to the president on special duties, communications and strategy, Dele Alake, speaks about the private visit.
Visit, and we had to be on hand to receive him, and our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu received him very warmly, and the president of Guinea-Bissau himself exuded some enthusiasm and warmth. He expressed his solidarity with the president of Nigeria and his readiness to cooperate with Nigeria at all times and with our current president, and he commended the laudable and policy initiatives of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the last 1 month, and he said that everybody in the world, in the international community, have been commending his giant strides. So he came to pay his solidarity and to pay courtesy call, as it were, and to bond with him as a brother African head of state in the first instance, and in particular as a brother West African ECOWAS head of state, in general. And they also spoke about the forthcoming ECOWAS meeting, which is very imminent, and spoke on other areas of cooperation. But generally speaking, it was a very strictly private visit, but it was very amiable, and this is a very commendable sign of things to come into the entire West African sub-region in terms of the atmosphere that is being generated by Nigeria's giant steps in the last 1 month, and the need for Nigeria to take its rightful place, in the African affairs. And everybody is looking up to Nigeria. Everybody in Africa, and especially in the ECOWAS region, is looking up to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And of course, him is ready to take up the gauntlet.
Meanwhile, state governors have expressed readiness to follow the example of what they described as a good leadership posture being shown by President Bola Tinubu. President Tinubu has on several occasions called on subnational governments to be ready for the responsibility of good governance, and some of the governors, including those of Kogi and Benue states, say they are ready to take a cue.
Well, he has charged us, we must all be ready to sacrifice more. We must be ready, even if we have to step on toes to satisfy Nigerians. We should be ready to do that. Like Mr. President, he has every opportunity to latch onto the past systems that really held people down, but he refused. He is after the people, the masses. The removal of subsidy is one example. He could have latched onto that cartel and continued the same business without anybody's knowing. Yes, he has removed it. There is a temporary hardship. But in the end, Nigerians are going to be smiling, and we will be grateful to God Almighty for bringing this wonderful president as our commander-in-chief?
Yeah, we are supposed to give him every support for the administration to succeed. And he started on a very sound note. His economic programs are going to be quite pivotal, not just at the federal level, but to all of us at the subnationals. And as he has started, he's carrying everybody along, and he wants everything, even including the palliatives that we're talking about, which will come in a very short distance, to trickle down to where that should go, to all Nigerians. So it's very clear that he has all his heart out there for every Nigerian, and I'm quite pleased with that, and we are all supportive. I'm 100% supportive of that as well.
The governors were part of the visitors paying salah homage to the president at his private residence in Lagos. Now, the world's biggest Muslim tent, which hosts more than 2 million Muslim pilgrims in Saudi Arabia, has been closed, signifying the end of this year's Hajj. Usman Aliyu reports that President Bola Tinubu sent a delegation which interacted with the pilgrims in Muna before moving out.
The last day of Hajj, a day for the completion of rites, the symbolic throwing of pebbles at a pillar where Satan tries but failed to tempt Prophet Ibrahim. While in Muna, pilgrims exchanged views with officials from Saudi government and the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria on challenges at the tent, with a view to make amendments in the future.
And again, here in Saudi Arabia, we're already talking to get lease for vehicles, buses. We intend to buy the CNG-powered buses, about 100, so that our pilgrims will not suffer anymore.
We're aware of some of the challenges which cut across. One of is the tent, which is not enough for the pilgrims. The second is time to time, the food that does not come either in time, it's not the food Nigerians are used to. Of course, we have deliberated with those who are our landlord. That is, those who are in charge of the tent, who also are in charge of the food.
A delegation sent by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, led by the Nigeria's ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Yahya Lawal, extend the goodwill of the president to the pilgrims. The president assured the pilgrims that the next exercise will be improved and enjoin them to continue praying for Nigeria and ensure good conduct while in the Holy Land.
So we count on your understanding. The president looks forward to this. Please remember your country in your prayers.
While formally declaring closed the Hajj 2023, the Saudi government said henceforth the tent allocation in Muna will be based on countries that come first to select sites based on the number of their contingents. In Makkah, Usman Aliyu, NTA News.
Spanish presidency commences with the determination to improve the lives of all Europeans and the commitment to re-industrialize the EU, promote ecological transition and equality, and guarantee its open strategic autonomy. Haman Jabani reports.
This is the fifth time that Spain has the responsibility of presiding over the Council of the European Union, and it assumes with firmness and that the president of the government, Pedro Sanchez, said the country is determined to make it a useful instrument that improves the lives of citizens. Reports said during the semester that runs until December 31st, the Spanish presidency will work to carry out a large number of open administrative files in the area of health, electricity, market reforms, view of tax governance rules, responsible digitization, and a greater deployment of renewable energies. At a time of global uncertainty and tension, and with an open war in Ukraine with economic and social consequences from the entire Union, the Spanish presidency pledged to defend unity as a transversal priority so that the EU can give the best of itself as a political model. The Spanish presidency considered that halting climate change and environmental degradation is a legal and moral obligation for Europeans, as well as an opportunity to reduce dependency on energy and raw materials. To this end, the Spanish presidency said it will promote a reform of electricity market that accelerates the deployment of renewable and expedites the processes of pending legislative files of the Fit for 55. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez arrived in Kiev earlier Saturday to meet with Zelensky as Spain kicked off its presidency of the European Union. He said they will keep supporting the Ukrainian people until peace returns to Europe as Ukraine battles the Russian invasion.
We will support Ukraine no matter the price to pay. That we will be with you in the achievement of your aspirations to be a free and sovereign country that decides its own destiny as a member of the European family. But let me tell you that the process to become an European Union member taught us important lessons. One of them is that undertaking reforms has a value in itself. Spain will continue to do its part as well. We are delivering more Leopard tanks, armored personnel carriers, and a field hospital with surgical capacity.
It will be recalled that Ukraine received EU candidacy status a year ago and is hoping to begin formal negotiations this year on what it needs to do to firm up its membership bid. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
In the meantime, the 43rd session of the FAO conference begins Saturday at the organization's headquarters in Rome and will oversee the election of the Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations for the period 2023 to 2027, as well as hold high-level roundtables organized around the theme of integrated water resource management. The ministerial level conference, which takes place every 2 years, is FAO's supreme governing body and endorses the program of work and budgets of the organization for the subsequent biennium. It also makes recommendations on global food and agriculture matters and reviews global governance policy issues. 2 deputy prime ministers and around 120 ministers and vice ministers are registered to attend the conference. The election of the Director General for the next 4 years will take place by secret ballots on the second day of the event. The incumbent Director General, Ku Dongyu of China, was first elected in June 2019. He is standing unopposed to be re-elected. FAO Director General may serve only 2 consecutive 4-year terms. The opening of the FAO conference on Saturday will be devoted to procedural matters such as the election of the chairperson and vice chairpersons. The main theme of the various panel discussions taking place throughout the conference is integrated water resources management. Now, dozens of France's top food companies have agreed to lower the prices of some products after the government came down hard on retailers for pocketing inflated profits through price surges. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday reports.
As people struggle to cope with the cost of living, making savings in the supermarkets is now a necessity for many in France. But prices that were quick to rise, observers say, have been much slower to fall despite costs coming down. For months, retailers in France say food items were priced to keep up with energy costs, wages, and commodity prices that soared after the COVID-19 pandemic and the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflicts. French lawmakers have been aggressive in trying to bring prices down, forcing retailers to reflect cheaper raw material costs in supermarket aisles.
Much of the second half of the year, it is only that period where we'll start to see food prices moderating. It is quite clear why there's been such a lag between the retailer as well as what we're seeing in the farm level for the past 5 months, because global agricultural prices started softening aggressively towards the end of the year.
For many, the savings couldn't come soon enough.
Not taking the basket, so I prefer to take all things in my hand, so I don't buy much things. Yeah, and I'm choosing the cheapest one.
Look at anything in the cereals basket related to grain, we think that that is going to decline in a coming months. That will be a lead. Secondly, anything that is on vegetable oil related products, we likely see those prices declining. Fruits and vegetables are also going to decline. We're not as positive about meat products.
The year-on-year consumer price index in France stood at 4.5% in June, making it the first time that the country's inflation stays below the 5% benchmark since April 2022. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more reports after this break. Welcome back. Kenyans can now access over 5,000 government services online. President William Ruto, during the unveiling of digital government services dubbed Gava Mkononi at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi, said that digitization will eliminate corruption, wastage, and discrimination that are inherent in human interactions. President Ruto said the digitization will enhance efficiency and inclusivity in service delivery, noting that previously marginalized communities will no longer be excluded from government services. He said the services will also be available on the e-citizen platforms, USSD code *2222# and Gava Express, which will be available in more than 250,000 M-Pizza shops, 28,000 KCB shops, 40,000 equity shops, and 22,000 cooperative bank shops to serve those without smartphones. The president noted that the government will use a single pay bill 222222, which the Treasury will manage. He urged Kenyans to take advantage of digital training opportunities provided by the ICT Authority, which targets 20 million people. The Euclid Space Telescope begins a journey of about 1 million miles in the hope of shining light on the mystery of dark matter. The European Space Agency says this is in the hope of answering unresolved questions about dark matter and dark energy. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday tells us more.
A SpaceX rocket in Florida stood poised for launch, carrying an orbital telescope built to shed light on mysterious cosmic phenomena known as dark energy and dark matter. Unseen forces, scientists say, account for 95% of the known universe. The telescope, dubbed Euclid, a European Space Agency instrument named for the ancient Greek mathematician called the father of geometry, was bundled inside the cargo bay of a Falcon 9 rocket for blast off from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. New insights from the $1.4 billion mission, designed to last at least 6 years, are expected to transform astrophysics and perhaps understanding of the very nature of gravity itself.
Dark energy and dark matter does not interact directly with light, so it passes through. So we can't see it directly. However, it interacts with light via gravity. Gravity is distorting space, and effectively light will follow the shortest path, which is basically following the distorted space, and therefore we can sort of see it.
The 2-ton spacecraft is also equipped with instruments designed to measure the intensity and spectrums of infrared lights from those galaxies in a way that will precisely determine their distances.
It's like a bit of lensing, effectively, matter that you have between you and the galaxies you're trying to look at. Acts like a lens.
The possibilities of the mission are reflected by the enormity of Euclid's inquiry. Scientists estimate dark energy and dark matters together make up 95% of the cosmos, while ordinary matter that we can see accounts for just 5%. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Now, do you know that for more than 200 years, a group of people have been responsible for wealth creation and eliminating poverty in the society? They are the cooperatives, which is why a day has been set aside to show how the cooperative way of working can help accomplish the Sustainable Development Goals. Muplang Dakok tells us more.
Cooperatives are associations of people united to meet their common economic, social and cultural needs and aspirations. The International Cooperative Alliance (ICA) and the United Nations say cooperatives may not be popular but contribute to economic, social and environmental sustainability across regions and economic sectors.
I've had it, but I'm not into the system. The one I know is about normally daily contribution, which I do at the end of the month. I collect my money, or I do from January to December, I get the money.
I did not belong to any cooperative society yet, because I don't have need for it for now.
Experts say cooperative societies are particularly significant in Nigeria because they help raise citizens' standards of living.
When I started working, I started as a junior staff, but with cooperative I was able to get money to go to a higher institution and complete my studies.
My husband belongs to them, he's a member, and sometime they bought a vehicle for somebody, and they are even into estates.
The first Saturday of July every year is set aside to celebrate the International Day of Cooperatives and show the world what can be achieved through the power of cooperation.
Cooperatives provide tax to government that is applied towards the provision of basic amenities and infrastructure. Two, cooperatives improves competition because of its low production and operation costs. Cooperatives essentially address market failures and gaps that are ignored by other private businesses, like provision of low interest loans and low cost housing to its members.
In Nigeria, cooperatives at various levels help safeguard community relations and adopt sustainable and long-term business practices. This year's theme is Cooperatives, Partners for Accelerated Sustainable Development. In Abuja, Muplang Dakok, NTA News.
In Kenya, police authorities say at least 51 people have been killed in a road accident at a busy junction. Over now to Debola, Brooklyn Sunday for details.
The incident on Friday night occurred at a location known for vehicle crashes near the Rift Valley town of Londiani, about 200 kilometers northwest of the capital, Nairobi. Police said the truck hit several other vehicles and market traders in western Kenya, killing at least 51 people. Police Commander Tom Odera said officers at the scene counted 51 bodies, but more people were believed to be trapped in the wreckage. The Kenya Red Cross Society said on Saturday that 32 people had been injured and hospitalized and asked Kenyans to donate blood. It said heavy rainfall had hindered rescue efforts.
I am praying that the government, through the Ministry of Transport, will actually look into this issue, because this is not the first time we have this accident here.
Footage from the scene late on Friday showed the overturned truck and the mangled wreckage of multiple vehicles, doors torn off minibuses and debris streamed across the road as rescuers worked under rain.
This is indeed a sad day for us as a county. We have referred 21 to Kericho County Referral Hospital and 9 to Nakuru Provincial Hospital. Most of the injured have sustained fractures of the lower and upper limbs, and a few had head injuries and chest trauma. The Red Cross team is finalizing on-site clearance to enable body tracing and identification.
Kenyan leader, including President William Ruto, expressed their condolences. According to figures from Kenyan National Transport and Safety Authority, at least 21,760 people were involved in road accidents last year, including 4,690 who died. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Well, that's the news on NTA International. Thanks for watching. I am Dennis at Degundoye.